And we are back with another inspiring episode of Growing Through It, where you come to grow, heal, and get motivated one conversation at a beautiful time. Today I have with me in the studio my sister, my friend, Kiana Madeira. All right, today Kiana is here, and I just want to talk a little bit about her. She is a gifted actress, producer, and a trailblazer whose body of work speaks for itself. You may know her from Facebook's very first original series, Sacred Lies, Netflix's hit series Trinkets, or the iconic Fear Street trilogy 1994, 1978, and 1666. She also showcased her talent in the powerful Canadian indie films Brother and Morningside. Beyond acting, Kiana is a visionary as a co-founder of Tabia Studios. She's championing female empowerment and in creating a space for women-led stories to shine on screen. Kiana, welcome to Growing Through It.
Thank you.
How are
Thank
you
you for
today?
having me. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. The last interview I did was with your lovely husband, Lavelle,
Yes.
and it was a great one. So
It was great.
I hope that you're ready to tap in.
I had-
Kiana was in the studio while we were recording that one, guys.
I was. I have
she-
big shoes to fill.
No, you got your own shoes to fill.
Yeah, my own shoes.
Your own shoes. What are they? 7.5?
7.
7. Oh, wow. What is that in men's? That's like,
I think
is that 9 in men or 8?
9, maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we're roughly about the same size feet. I'm pretty sure because
Okay.
my girlfriend Tiffany wears my shoes as well.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, I think the translation is that embarrassing to say?
No, I feel like you're not a 7 in women's. People say my feet are small.
I got tiny feet, bro.
Small like that?
I don't know. But I mean, whatever.
We're gonna compare later.
We'll compare later.
Swap
We'll
shoes.
we'll shoe swap.
Yeah.
All right, Kiana. Well, I want to just kind of get you in to talk about your journey, your life, things that you've gone through, being married to one of my long-standing and term friends, Lavelle. Talk about your journey of being married. Let's dive into that, because I always start off with the career and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
you know what? As one of the first females in our friend group of all of our friends and the ones that are in like relationships and stuff, you were the first to get married. So talk to me about how you felt when Lavelle kind of did you know he was gonna do it? Did you know he was gonna propose to you?
No, I didn't know when he did it. I didn't know it was happening. It was actually January 20th, 2020,
Mhm.
right before the pandemic. I had wrapped shooting Trinkets in Portland, and he was in New York filming season 1 of Ghost. And we never lived together before that. Like, we, would travel for work sometimes, but we were still based in Toronto. But him going to New York to shoot Ghost, he relocated to New York, and I was wrapping Trinkets, and we kind of were like, well, he was like, do you want to move here to New York and like we'll live together? I think at that point we were together 3 years.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I would love to. So it was the day that I pulled up to live in New York with him. And it's funny when he tells this story, he's like, he was getting everything ready to propose and I had no idea. And he's like, let me know when you land and I'll get you an Uber. And classic me, I was like, no, it's okay. I'll get my own Uber. And he was like, damn it. Because he couldn't like track where I was.
Right.
So from his perspective, he like heard like the ding of the elevator and he was like panicking because he wasn't fully set yet. But I like, opened the door and there was signs on the door of like, welcome to your new home. And I just thought like my brain at the time was like, this is so cute. He did this whole thing because I'm moving in. And my brain didn't immediately go like, oh, this is something more than that. So he like left little notes around the apartment, like leading me through. And then when I got to the living room, I had a very, very quick recognition of like, and thought of, oh, I think he might be proposing, because there was like the laptop set up.
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to film it, and there was a huge box in the living room, like huge box. And I was like, he was in the box. He was like hiding in the box.
Yeah.
So he came out and he like had the ring and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really didn't see it coming. But a couple months before, I guess I don't know why, it was like an out of body experience. I told him, just so you know, if you propose, I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe gave him the confidence to do it. But I still didn't really see it coming at the time that he did.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
What kind of box was it? Was it just like a regular?
So like a cardboard box. I think it was from the TV. No, something he had just moved in. So there was a lot of like big things being delivered. So it was like a big brown cardboard box.
Just a big brown
Yeah,
cardboard box, and he was inside.
and he was inside.
That is so cute.
Yeah, it was very
I
cute.
love that. And so he
Yeah.
just came, popped out, and proposed and said, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, and I didn't say yes, I said, "Of course."
So something for yourself that I want to know, did you always plan on, like, in your mind, did you always want to be a wife to somebody? And in if so, what are the qualities as a woman? And I know you're a woman of faith, so I guess,
Mhm.
as a woman and a woman of faith, what are some of the qualities that you think make a good wife? Pick whichever one,
Yeah.
or both, whichever. Woman,
Yeah,
faith, woman.
that's a great question. I grew up in a two-parent household. My parents are still together, thank God. My mom had a crush on my dad when she was 11.
Mm,
He was 13. So he was like, "I'm not looking at you're too young." But then they started dating. I think my mom was like 16 and he was 18 and they've been together ever since.
wow.
So I've always had an example of like a, beautiful married couple as my parents. They're best friends. They do everything together. But even with that, I think as a kid growing up, I wasn't the type of kid or girl that was like, oh, dreaming of like a wedding one day. I always wanted to have a life partner, but I don't think I thought too much about the specifics of being married. My parents also had my brother and I before they were married. So
Mm,
we were at the wedding, and I remember I was 6 and I was like, this is really cute. But they didn't really stress the importance of being married because to me, they were married before they officially got married. Like
yeah.
they've been my parents, so yeah, I mean, I think when I met Lavelle, I started to really see how marriage could be like the move.
Mm,
Um, my relationships before him, I really couldn't see like it kind of scared me, like a forever thing. It scared me to be in something really long term. I mean, I'm also serial monogamous, so I've been before Lavelle was in a relationship for 5 years, and before that one I was in a relationship for 5 years. So I've just been in relationships since I was 13.
mhm,
But even in those 5-year relationships, the thought of marriage didn't really hit. So I kind of was like, I don't know, maybe marriage isn't for me. But then being with Lavelle, I was like, wow, I really can see the value in this and I could see myself doing this. And then to tie that in with, being a follower of Jesus, that is something that Lavelle and I also really strengthened and found in our relationship. I grew up going to church with my family. My dad's side of family, being Portuguese, is more Catholic, and my mom, being Nova Scotian, is more Baptist. So I grew up going to both, and I always believed in God. And it's funny, it's so cute actually. I was going through like old bins of mine from when I was a kid. And when I was like 5, I drew pictures and was like, Jesus loves me,
mm,
and really spoke about Jesus even as a kid. But I didn't remember that. So at some point, teens, really early 20s, I always believed in God, but I wasn't specifically like into my faith and following Jesus like I am now. That is something that Lavelle and I strengthened in our relationship. And now, with that perspective, it's so clear that being married is the way. It is like, solidifying your union under God to us was everything. I feel like we had a very strong relationship before getting married, but there is something when like, you're doing it, you're you're giving your relationship to God. And I think, being in a relationship and God not being in the equation, it can feel really easy to be lost.
mhm,
Like left to our own devices, we can be really self-destructive and you can have a beautiful relationship, but without a really strong anchor, and to us, Jesus being our anchor, that has just provided a firm foundation for us to really, yeah, I feel like forever doesn't scare me anymore.
mhm.
I feel confident in our relationship, in our marriage. And also, like getting married was so fun. The wedding was so fun. You were there, you're a groomsman. I feel like it was just so cute and so fun. I wouldn't have changed a thing. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be married. I'm excited to, God willing, start a family someday soon. And yeah, I have no doubt about it. I feel really good
I
about it.
feel that. By the way, if you ever have a boy, Ryan, I heard is a
Yeah.
really great name
Yeah.
for a kid. So just gonna throw that out there.
So cute.
No, if I ever do have a kid, God willing, I want to name my first son. If I ever do have a kid, like a boy, it's gotta be Ryan the third, because I'm junior, I'm the second,
Ah,
so,
yeah, you are. I knew
you
that.
get to have, me and then Ryan the third and run around calling him Trey. Hey, Trey, where you at?
Trey, why
Trey.
Trey?
Well, for three.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that. I love
Ryan the
that.
third, Ryan the
That's
third.
that's a great
It's
idea.
cute, right?
That's very cute.
Um, Anxiety about marriage. Why do you think that was? Because you come from a two-parent household,
Yeah.
loving parents. Why do you feel you had anxiety around the idea of being committed to one person? And I've
Hmm.
I've struggled with this in the past as well. Like one person, whoa, like. But I come from a single parent household where I didn't have both loving parents, so I didn't have that example
Right.
of that, so I didn't have a model to look after, but you did, but yet you still felt like you suffered with it.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that was?
I think it was just probably the relationships that I was in.
Mhm,
No shade at all to my exes. We were so young, but we had a lot of growing up to do, and I think I felt that at the time that there were certain things in the relationship where I was really honest with myself and felt like I wouldn't want to have these things forever. Like the deal breakers that existed, which is why we ended up breaking up, to me scared me to stay in something where I'm like, I feel like I would grow to resent this person if I married them. And I think being in a relationship for a long time, it seems like the natural progression to get married, but at a certain point we have to be honest with ourselves and even though it might be traditional, like you've been together x amount of years, to really be honest with yourself and say like, if there are red flags maybe in the relationship, like you don't have to get married just because you've been together for a little bit. You can choose a different path for yourself.
mhm,
And I think for me it was that, just certain things in the relationship where I was like, I don't feel like, I'm a very independent person, and especially being an actor, I need to be in a relationship. And Lavelle, that's why Lavelle's perfect for me. Like, he really lets me do my thing. He really lets me like change if I wanna change, try new things. Like, he's not a jealous person or possessive,
mhm.
and I think a lot of times possessiveness in a relationship, like, can exist, and for me, whew, that just gives me anxiety, and I think that's
Mm,
ultimately what it was. I'm like, I know that if I stay in this relationship, I'm not gonna be able to do what I want in my career, and that involves, like, sometimes you have to play love interest, and you have to, like, tell certain stories and travel for work, and if your partner is not 100% in that, then that could really hold you back, and you kinda have to make a decision. Is it gonna be career? Is it gonna be this relationship? And to me, the anxiety around potentially choosing this over my career, it didn't sit well with me.
that's totally fair, yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I always thought that about myself because I was always, like, in my mind, like, "Oh, like, how do I date somebody if they don't understand the industry and if they don't
Yeah.
get what I do?" And I felt like I needed to be around other actors and actresses, like, I needed to
Mhm.
be dating actresses. I thought that was a thing. First off, I'm so happy that you 2 found each other how many years ago? I remember when Lavelle first met you,
Yeah.
and in our group chat, he was like, "Yo, guys, I think I just met the love of my life."
Oh.
We're like, "What?" Like, who is it? We're like, "Who is this girl?" So, and
Yeah.
you 2 complement each other so perfectly, so beautifully, and I love your dynamic, your communication with one another. I think it's one of the best things out of my friends that I've seen, and I think it's such a powerful thing to have, and that openness. I wanted to ask you, as a woman, what were some of the qualities, aside
Yeah.
from what you said of him allowing you to be free, what was it that you were like, "Oh, man, this is the type of man that I wanna kind of be with for the rest of my life. This is the type of man that if he asked me to marry me, I would say yes." What were some of those qualities that you saw?
Thank you for saying that. Like, everything you said, that means a lot to me, and I remember meeting you too, and, like, your whole friend group. Honestly, you're f I will say that you guys also had a big role to play in, like, me wanting to at least start dating Lavelle. Like,
Mm,
meeting you guys, there's a joy in your spirits, and I was I didn't really have too many friends that were actors in Toronto. I, like, really stuck to myself. Like, I was just kind of in my relationship. I wasn't really putting myself out there. And when I met Lavelle, it was the same time I really met all of you guys. And there is this, like, joy that's in your spirit and also in Lavelle's spirit, that I was like, wow, he inspired me from the day I met him. Actually, the first time we really got to kick it, just me and him, was he asked me to help him with the self tape.
Wow.
Yeah, so we met February 2016, and then we kind of touched base here and there on Instagram, but that August, he messaged me and he's like, "I have a self-tape. Do you want to like come to my agency and help me read?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm busy today. I can't, but next time you have one, let me know." The next day, he's like, "I have another self-tape. Do you want to come help me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I went and we ended up talking for 3 hours, and I was just like, his excitement about what he everything he had going on, the joy that exuded from his spirit, like just, his creativity, his mind, the way it worked. It was really inspiring to me. So I think that was the first thing that attracted me to him, besides obviously him being like super cute and like attracted to him, was his his ambition and his discipline. He also was not drinking at the time. We were like 23, 24, and he hadn't drank for a
For a
year.
year, I
And I
remember
was
that.
like, who is this guy? Like, he was bartending at the barbecue that your production company, BDB, was hosting. He was bartending, but he wasn't drinking. And I was like, that's different.
Yeah.
You know, all those characteristics and qualities of him still remain to this day, and they've only been strengthened. And to me, like, he's a leader.
Mm.
And as a woman, I look for that in a man and in a partner, like someone that I can confidently be like, I trust and have faith that you could be the father to my children. Like, you'd be a great leader, bringing like little humans into the world. I feel confident and safe with Lavelle, and those are qualities that I really look for in a partner. And I didn't even know I looked for those things until I met him.
Mhm.
His discipline, his leadership, his kindness, his joy, his ambition. And we're just so goofy together. That's a huge thing. That's why we like really never get into big fights, because when it starts to get too serious, we kind of just laugh and we're like, this is so awkward. It's so funny.
This
I'm
is
like,
weird.
this is
Why are we doing
weird,
this?
especially him. Like, if I start to get like kind of serious about something, he'll just stare at me and I'm like, say something. Like, he knows I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
So yeah, the goofiness is like a huge thing for me too.
Oh, that's so I feel like I'm just like a fly on the wall, but like I'm replaying the past. It's so cute.
Yes.
I love that, man. Yeah, you two truly do complement each other, and I'm really happy that you found a good man and a good
Thank
person
you.
in this world. And for the women out there, what advice would you give them to, that are struggling with dating? What advice would you give younger women or older women, any
Yeah,
women in general?
that's a great question. Some of my friends are single, and I know that, it's interesting being our age, like early 30s, is like you could be married with 4 kids. I have a friend who's married with 4 kids. You could be single and like really not meeting anyone. And specifically for the single ladies out there, I would say, there's a lot of rhetoric online
Hmm.
about what to look for in a man. First of all, this whole gotta be 6'6", I'm just like, please, what are we doing? There's a lot of like, I don't know, like social standards of like aesthetic that I think blocks your blessing. Like, when I hear a woman's like, oh, if he's not 6'6", I'm not giving him the time of day. I'm like, you first of all are like, you're 5'4". Why do you need a man that's 6'6"? There's, I think a lot of it comes from wanting your girls in your life to not throw shade at your man. There's a lot of like potential embarrassment. I think a lot of girls these days are like, what do I think every other girl's looking for? And let me look for that too, because I low key want every girl to want my man.
Hmm.
And there's like a toxic insecurity that I think is rooted in that, where you're not looking for what you actually like. In fact, you might not actually know what you like because you're spending way too much time on social media thinking you know what everyone else likes. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of like podcasts, a lot of posts, a lot of comment culture, I think, is toxic and getting in the way of women actually understanding what they need and what they like. So I would say spend time talking to God. And I know not everyone is Christian, but develop some sort of relationship with God. That's my biggest advice, to actually understand what you need and what God wants for you. You know, spend less time online scrolling and consuming what social media says you should want and should be looking for, and go inward and start to ask yourself those things like what do you want as an example for your future children if you do want children, you know? Does your husband being 6'6" actually matter for your future daughter? You know, is that really gonna matter?
Well, if she's trying to join the WNBA,
Yeah, I mean, that too, but then it's like, why are you choosing your kid's career out of before you know what I
this
mean?
is true.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to just be honest with yourself about, and I think that's a big thing, like, what do you want? Like, fear of cringe is, like, super toxic in our culture, you know? Like, let's just get back to, like, what do we look for? What do we want in our hearts, you know? So, yeah, I would say my advice for them would be care less about what other people think and just take time to really understand like what your heart wants and desires
Mm.
and needs in a partner, and be open to meeting people regardless of, XYZ. Sometimes the list is a little too specific and you're blocking your blessings. So just be open,
Hmm.
be open and ask God to show you the way and guide your steps when meeting a partner.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I even with men, I find that sometimes men they get caught in a bubble and they
Mhm.
want a woman that looks a certain type of way and fits very specific aesthetic, and they want like their boys to almost look after their girl. But it's like,
Exactly.
why do you want like why do you need your guys to be chasing after your girl? Like that's your girl. It shouldn't
Yep.
matter as long as you like her. Or
Yep.
why should you care that other men want your women as your woman as well? Like that shouldn't matter. Now, this is a real thing. There are women out there that are very attractive,
Hmm.
and well, I'm gonna ask you about this in a second. But you're attractive, and men will approach you, and it's just how does your woman handle it? Because if you have a woman that, or a man that accepts a lot of attention from outside people other than their partner, you don't want that.
Yep.
And what I was gonna touch on was you and I. We had a conversation about a week and a half ago now, and you were telling me you were out at a bar with your friends,
Yeah.
and this guy kept approaching you, and just share that story real quick.
Yeah, that story. So I don't go out often anymore, just because we live in a different country and all my friends, most of my friends are here. So coming back to Toronto, we were like girls' night, and I was like, yay, I love girls' nights. But I was reminded very quickly that without the presence of a man, sometimes it's just a lot. Like, so basically we went to a bar here in Toronto, and um I was just with my girls vibing, doing our own thing, like kind of in our own world, but like, meeting people, that were super cool. But this one guy in particular came up to me and like was complimenting me and stuff. And I was like, thank you so much, whatever, dancing, whatever. And then he kept, kind of try to see what else, like how he could pursue me. And I was like, oh, I'm married, just to let you know, like I'm married. So yeah, that's not what it is. And he immediately got like offended, but like mean about it. He was like, well, if you're married, why are you here? And I was like, oh, I'm just like, my natural tendency is to just, be kind. I'm not, I'm, it's difficult for me sometimes to like set hard boundaries and like, push people away like that. So I was like, "Oh, I'm just, I'm here with my girls, like, we're just having a good time." Again, like, kinda turning away and, like, dancing with my friends. And just for the next, like, half an hour, he just continued to come up to me and was like, "You don't even look like you wanna be here." Like, just things, like, he's like, You're not even dancing right. Like, show me your best dance move right now." And I was like, "What is your problem? Like, why are you why are you even talking to me right now?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a lot. And so I think like entertaining attention from, I'll speak for myself, men in particular, I'm finding that if you give an inch, they take a mile. And I don't want to assume that every man is like that because that's not fair. But in certain settings, I think it's safe to assume because I don't think a lot of guys are going to clubs and bars that are single and like wanting to make friends with women,
Mhm.
So I have learned in the last 5 years, I'll say, that unfortunately you can't be super open and entertaining to any kind of male attention because that kind of makes it seem like you're open to male attention in that way. And especially these days with like, relationships not always being very so traditional, like you could be married and still also open to meeting people in that way and being an open marriage, an open relationship and all the things. I think that it's changed a bit where like you kind of have to put your foot down. And I've always been scared of like coming across as rude, but I'm starting to care a little less because you have to do that to protect your relationship, protect your energy, and yeah, protect what you have going on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you, especially on the whole like as a single man, you go out and women feeling like, "Oh, is he trying
Yeah.
to talk to me like this? Is he trying to get my number? Is he trying to get into my pants?" And when I was out in the streets like that and used to go and meet girls, and if I was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so beautiful. Do you have a boyfriend?" And they say, "Oh, I'm married or I have someone in my life." Me, I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, he's a lucky guy. You're very beautiful." And I would leave it at that. And I do find that whenever I've gone out and witnessed, you don't get a lot of men that are like that.
Yeah.
A lot of men are still pressing, still trying to like, well, he doesn't let you have friends. Like, can I get your
Yeah.
Instagram? It's like, dude,
Like, no.
no,
You're
like,
not looking for a friend right
yeah,
now. Exactly.
like clearly you don't want a friend.
And
Like,
like
she's
we're
not.
not stupid,
You know what I
you
mean?
know?
So I do find I empathize with attractive women, and just see y'all gotta. I guess y'all gotta just carry brass knuckles and start punching dudes out.
One thing that would
No, I don't agree with violence. I don't agree with violence, y'all.
no,
I
no, we
don't.
don't condone that.
We don't condone violence.
But one thing I think is actually kind of cool to bring up is what going to the club is one thing. Like at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? Maybe like our girls' nights, like it is really cool to go out and dance. But like, I would rather have Lavelle there, just because when he is there, I don't have to deal with that, and I could dance just how like I like having him around for that
Hmm.
for many reasons, and that's one of them. But one thing that's super interesting too to talk about is, um, finding a balance of like entertaining co-stars energy on
Mm.
set. And that's something I don't think people talk about a lot, and I think it's really valuable.
Hmm.
Um, so, like if you get cast for something and you're playing opposite someone else and your love interest, like let's just take one example, heterosexual, um, male and female.
Okay.
So I get cast and I'm playing opposite an actor, and so now you come to set and you are cast because you guys have chemistry. You're probably attractive because the way the industry works.
Probably.
Eh,
Listen, before you go on, I was at an event
yeah.
recently, and everyone at this event was gorgeous. Entertainers, gorgeous. So
Yeah.
carry on.
Love that for
Yeah.
entertainers. But it does come with some potential complications. So, yeah, like on set, you get cast and now the expectation that's placed upon you is to have chemistry and, develop a bond and develop a relationship. And at the same time, you're potentially doing these scenes where you're being intimate together and now they have intimacy coordinators, which is great. But there's also, something to be said for entertaining that type of energy offset.
Mm.
And I have learned in this industry that even though, you could be number one on the call sheet, and to me, being number one on the call sheet means I want to set a tone and an environment of kindness and openness and making everyone feel welcome. Sometimes you also have to set those hard boundaries on set and offset. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a little bit older and well seasoned in the industry, and she was saying she has rules. She's like, my co star, who's my love interest, can't text me after 8 p.m. Also, no inside jokes. And I was like, whoa. At first, I was like, that's so extra.
Mm.
But then I was like, I kind of get it.
Hmm.
I kind of get it because you don't, you as well intentioned as some people are, I think sometimes people can also come into this and it can be very confusing. You can start to feel like you're having a connection with someone, and regardless of if they're in a relationship or not, on both sides can start to think like, is this real? Like, is this actually the person I should be with? Like, obviously I have feelings for my partner, but am I developing feelings for this other person? And it's just chemistry. Chemistry does not equal feelings, does not equal that's who you should be with. It's, and it's complicated, and It's weird, but I think that people should talk about it more, you know?
Yeah, thank you for being so open about that. And like I actually
Mhm.
do want to touch on that more because I was listening to another podcast and it was a relationship expert and he was basically saying one thing that we need to talk about that I don't think a lot of other people talk about is you could be in a long-term committed relationship with somebody, you're still going to be attracted to other human beings. It
Yes.
is impossible. Like you don't just get into a relationship and you're like, well, okay, well, I only have eyes for my one person. Like let's keep it real. There's a lot of beautiful people out here. There's a lot of people we're going to meet throughout life. There's a lot of people you're gonna feel chemistry with
Right.
and you're gonna have good conversations with and you're gonna be like, oh, your brain's gonna trick you and say, wait, maybe I should be with this person. But it's just a fleeting moment. It's literally just a moment in a grand scheme of our 75, 80 years of life that we have, 90 years of life that we get to experience on this planet.
Mhm.
And what is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10, 10 or 1 hour, whatever, all
Yeah.
that in the grand scheme of things. I don't think a lot of people think about that and talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Have you and Lavelle had these kind of conversations of like, oh, I find this person attractive, or oh, that person found me attractive? Do you guys talk openly about these type of things?
Yeah, we do. We're
Why
very
did you? Why'd you laugh?
'Cause, we do, we are, like sometimes, like, we'll be together and I'll be like, "That girl," and he's like, "I know." I do love that about our relationship, like, it's so true, like, I think like you said, it is so natural and so normal to be attracted to people, and I think the more open you can be about it and not suppress those things, I think it helps, I think it can help. Obviously, not everyone can handle that or that doesn't work for everyone. But for us, I actually feel like being so open and so honest, it 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 doesn't let a little seed of something grow.
Mm,
You know, when a seed is planted of like, oh man, I think that person's attractive, but my partner can't know, suddenly there's like shame built around that. There's like this weird like energy that grows around it, and that could be detrimental to your relationship if you start to feel like you're hiding things, you start to feel like you're doing something wrong, and the next thing you know, you kind of are doing something wrong, and you're like, I had to keep, it could be a slippery slope. So
yeah.
for us, we find that like just being really open with each other and like, it's helped. It's helped a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that y'all have that openness. I think it's important. I think more people need to be open and honest with those things and don't hide that fact that, oh, like I find my coworker in the office attractive and I just want to let
Mhm.
you know this, but nothing's happening, but I need to just let you know that.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back and you were saying about with that one person that was telling you, is this person in a relationship? That one person that was like giving you their, if they're with a co-star, like their boundaries? Is this person in a relationship or no?
No,
Okay. So I wanted to ask though, why is like the no inside joke thing? Because I
I
mean,
know.
I find that hard
I know.
because sometimes you just have like things that
I know.
happen. So what does that mean? What does that look like? At least from your perspective,
Yeah.
what does that look like to you or mean?
I think I mean, I don't know if I don't think I would stick to that, but
Sure.
I understood where she was coming from because, again, it's like sometimes guys have different tactics of their way in, and
Mm.
inside jokes are I've experienced that as a tactic of like, you know, I don't know, it's so bad because like inside jokes, there's nothing wrong with them, and not every guy who has inside jokes with you is trying to like get with you, but that's where you need your discernment to be like, because I do think that like it starts with an inside joke, and now like you're texting about that inside joke, and now it's like 1 a.m. and they see something that reminds you of the inside joke, and they're like, haha, and it builds and it
Right.
builds, and like you develop this type of like relationship where, you're on set together and like no one else gets it but them. And it's just, it can open a door to so many other things. And I think that's what she was talking about. Like,
Got it.
it's just, that's what I considered like closing a door real early.
Right.
And that's just to protect herself. And that would be to protect myself of like, I I I hope that I won't need to do that, but I get where she was coming from because it's kinda like nipping something in the bud before it even starts.
Right.
I
Do you
yeah.
currently have any practices that you implement or plan to implement in the future with future male co-stars?
Yes, I would say definitely, like, no late night texts, like, like, that's already, like, unprofessional, I think. Um, yeah, I would say, like, there's a certain time where, like maybe no contact just because I wouldn't do that offset with a guy.
Right.
So just because we're working together, I wouldn't want to do that now. And then Lavelle always tells me I don't know if you know in acting, there's something called like making a pact.
Yeah.
Making a pact, which is like being very open and honest right off the jump of like, I'm comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with this, that. And I've always been like, I don't think it's necessary. Like it might make things awkward and I don't want to make things awkward. But now I'm finding that like it's okay if it's a little bit awkward at first, Like it's okay. You're just being honest and you're coming from a good place. So that to me is something that I am implementing and will continue to. And also just including Lavelle in the conversations. Like we often visit each other on set, and I think that's really important to like make it well known that like this is my partner. I love him. He's very present in my life. We have a really healthy relationship, and I think just having him present in conversations and physically present also helps in those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
not leaving your partner out of your on-set world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was something that I heard The Rock say, because he spoke about like his previous marriage, and he said the one thing that he learned for himself is to always bring his family as
Yeah.
much as he can with him. And I also had another older actor one time. I randomly just met them on set, and we were having a conversation. Through the conversation, we was just talking about like, oh, like your wife and his family and stuff like that. And he says, yeah, normally my family comes with me, but at the time it was COVID, so they weren't really allowing families to travel.
Yeah.
But he said for the most part, he always brings his family with him just to kind of keep that familial connection. So I love that you two have that
Yeah.
connection in that conversation. And again, being in the industry, he gets it. He's like, all right, cool. Like, I'll pull up. And
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity for him to come and check out the sets that you're working on,
Yeah,
which I think is so
exactly.
beautiful.
I had Lavelle there the whole time. I was just in Colombia in the Amazon rainforest this
Okay,
past
talk about this. Let's
yeah.
go. Let's get into this.
This past in September to December 2024.
Okay.
I was shooting a film called Titan. It's going to come out God willing 2026. Super excited about it, but we shot in the Amazon rainforest and Lavelle was there the whole time.
Wow.
And it was so nice having him there because one, like being in a whole new environment and also like playing a character that's very different from yourself, it can be easy to kind of forget about who you are and
Mm,
forget about like your real life and things back home. And so having Lavelle there was like, oh, every day, just like he would come to set most days, but even the days that he didn't, having him present, going to the hotel and like just him being there was like, this is like such a like a safe space. And it really helped keep me anchored throughout the whole filming process. It was, we shot a survival thriller. The movie's a survival thriller.
beautiful.
So it was like very intense, the most intense project I've ever been a part of,
Hmm.
and like very physically demanding, um, some crazy stuff in that movie. It's really cool and really exciting, but I could imagine like, feeling really isolated there if he wasn't there and like going home at the end of the night, like shooting nights, like weeks of night shoots and just being like, I don't know who I am. And like, I feel so alone. So it was really, really beautiful having him there for that.
Yeah, especially doing so many night shoots. I worked on a project. I wasn't an actor in it, but I was a stand-in,
Hmm.
and it was Batwoman. And so
Okay.
I did a couple I did I think season 2? I want to say season 2. Season 2 or no, season 3. I did season 3 as a stand-in for one of the characters. And you don't realize like, oh yeah, it's like Gotham. Everything happens at nighttime.
Yep.
And it's like the 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. consistently, 5 days a week, 4 days a week. And you do start to kind of go a little delirious and go crazy because you're not sleeping at the normal hours that other people are sleeping at.
Yep.
And then also, like, I can only imagine for yourself while you're acting,
Hmm.
playing a character, doing strenuous work, running through the rainforest in the mud, probably raining because it's the
Yep.
rain. It's hot, it's gross. It's nice to have that blanket, that person that you trust. They're like, oh, right, this is who I am
Yep.
to my core. Like, thank you for being here. Thank you for being my rock. Thank you for being my support. I love you so much, and I appreciate you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's definitely, I can only imagine how nice it must have been for you to have that. All right, since we're talking about acting now,
Uh-huh.
let's get into how did little Kiana start? Because I remember I used to watch you on the show called Really Me. And I
Yeah.
remember when I first met you, and like back then, I was like such a shy, nervous guy, and I was like, yo, that's the girl from Really Me. Yo, that's crazy. You're like, hi, I'm Kiana. I was like, oh my God. But you talk to me and let's tell the audience, how did you kind of get into acting and
Yeah.
to how you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so, I wanted to act ever since I was 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 5, I watched the movie Grease, I fell in love with John Travolta, well, I fell in love with his character, Danny Zuko, and, I remember just being 5 and being like, "I wanna meet him because I love him,"
Mm.
and then I don't know. My parents, they were really, really supportive of my brother and I. My sister wasn't born at the time, and they would always ask us, like, what do you want to do, like extracurricular? And my brother was like, I want to play hockey. And I was like, I want to act. And my dad actually always wanted to be an actor when he was younger. But, his parents came from Portugal. They're immigrants. They were like, acting. What are you talking about? Like, go work construction.
Right.
And so when he ended
Speaking of
up
him, by the way.
yeah. He didn't work construction. He's not a construction guy.
Really?
He's an artist through and through.
Okay.
Yeah. But he actually ended up doing like a couple of small things when he was younger. He was in a movie with Keanu Reeves called Young Again.
Wow.
But he didn't really have that like support. When you're a kid actor, you need your parents to be like super supportive and they're like 24/7 available to take you to auditions, be on set with you if they need to be. So when I said acting, he was like, "Wow." Both my parents were like, "Okay." But I was a really shy kid. So they were like, "She's 5. Let's see if it's something that it sticks." And when I was 10, I was still like, I want to act. So they were like, "Okay, you know what? Cool." They signed me up with a smaller agency. I auditioned for a lot of commercials, didn't get anything. But when I was 10, actually, I found out on my birthday, I was turning 11. I booked my very first role. It was a series of educational videos teaching American students about Canadian history, geography, and culture. So I just turned 11. We shot it in Midland, Ontario. I remember like the big table of like candy, and I was like, "This is the best." Like being a kid on set, I was like, "Oh, this is exactly where I want to be." So I did that. Also, I don't know if you remember, there was this YTV show called Spy Academy, and it was a game show.
Vaguely.
It was a game show. I don't know. It wasn't on for long, but my brother and I, they had like open calls. You didn't even need to be an actor.
Right.
But right after Discovering Canada, we auditioned for that and we got in. So my brother and I actually were on Spy Academy and we came second place. We were so mad at ourselves. We're so competitive
Yeah.
even to this day. But I did that around that time as well. And then I just auditioned a lot. When I was 12, I auditioned for Noble Kaplan Abrams, Norbert Abrams, who is now retired. I was 12 and I auditioned. I had to do 2 monologues. One was dramatic and one was comedic. Didn't even know what a monologue was. I was so young.
Mhm.
And he was like, "I don't think you're ready." But he gave me a list of acting classes and private coaches and was like, train a bit and come back when you're ready. And I was like, "Okay." Thank God for my parents. They paid for my classes. I did a lot of training for a year. I went back when I was 12. He's like, "I still don't think you're ready,
Hmm.
but I don't have anyone who looks like you." So he signed me. And I was like, "Okay." I auditioned then from like 13 to 17, didn't book a single thing.
Wow.
But in hindsight, I got to go to school, be a regular kid, and I still never wanted to give up. I remember in high school, my dad would be driving me to auditions.
Mhm.
I wanted to do both. I wanted to play sports. I was on every sports team and
I
act.
didn't know you played sports. What sports did you play?
In high school, I played field hockey, volleyball, basketball, flag football, track. I did really everything. I was
Hell
I was even athlete of the year in like
okay,
grade
sick.
10.
All
Yeah.
right.
I was like sports so but my dad would get so mad at me sometimes in the car cuz he would pick me up and I'd be like, rushing from practice and like going to do my auditions and he would lecture me. I remember so many times in the car we'd have these conversations and he'd be like, "You have to decide if acting's really what you want to do. You have to like give it your all. If you want to quit, just tell me right now. You can quit. You can do all these sports. You can do anything you want. Like you don't have to do this." And I would just be like, he still tells the story to this day. I would look at him and be like, "I want to act." Like so dramatic. I'd be like, "No, acting's what I want to do." So I remember I didn't play sports for a bit in like 11th grade. And look at that. In grade 12, I booked my first Disney Channel original movie. It's called Harriet the Spy Blog Wars,
Yeah.
with Vanessa Morgan, Melinda Shankar, Jennifer Stone, Aislinn Paul. Shout out all of them. Crazy. It was so long ago. And then that year as well, 12th grade, I booked a pilot for Really Me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a series yet. I actually booked 2 pilots that year. One was for another one called Love Your Style. Found out Love Your Style didn't get picked up, but Really Me did. And so I shot season 1. In the hiatus, I went to university for a year and for a semester, and then found out that we got a season 2, dropped out of university, filmed season 2, and then was like, this is what I'm doing now. I was like 18, and I'm like, but after Really Me, I really didn't work for a bit, for like a couple of years. And I'm like, I need to just keep taking classes. I need to just keep developing my craft. I did so many years at Louis Beaumander. Shout out Louis Beaumander Acting Studio, LBI. He really, really like taught me so much of what I know to this day. And I ended up leaving Noble Kaplan Abrams, signed to Ambition, and I think signing to Ambition, that was it for me. I really started working a lot after that. And then shortly after that, got an agency in the States, got my visa, built my resume here, got my visa, and yeah, just I've only really been working in the States since 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty fresh for you.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder and just hearing this that anything in this world takes time and it takes persistence, it takes dedication, and
Yeah.
things don't happen overnight. And yeah, like just seeing your progression as things slowly started happening for you, it's been a journey for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I was in Vancouver while I was living in Vancouver at
Yep.
the time, and you were doing Secret Lies,
Yeah.
and I remember you would come by like, oh, can you help me with this tape? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
I did all my tapes with you.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
did remember we did, like, even, like, callbacks on Zoom, we
Oh
did
my
together,
gosh, we
remember?
did.
Yeah, it was for, like, 13 Reasons Why, remember? It was like
Wow, that's
yeah.
crazy. Yes.
Yes, so I did all my tapes with you.
Man, and like look
Yeah.
at you now, like about to be in
Thank
a
you.
dope thriller movie that filmed in the rainforest.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so proud of you, honestly.
Thank you.
And it's like your progression from, I guess, seeing you mature into the beautiful woman that you have become today, and the amazing friend that you've become to me, and sister. And like we talk about the most random things, and I just message you randomly, like, "Hey, hope you're good." Like, yeah, I'm truly truly proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a question specifically for you because
Okay.
I know the whole struggle of like having to choose acting or athletics. And
Yeah.
I was a track star and I was like ready to start training, and I was like, I'm gonna become an Olympian. But I was like, I also want to act. And I had to give it up.
Yeah.
If you gave it up, which sport do you think you would have committed to?
Hmm. You know, in high school, I was just kind of playing sports for the fun of it, but my favorite was volleyball, and I was a setter because 'cause I'm not tall. But my favorite was volleyball. I loved volleyball. I don't know if I would have, like, gone on to be professional or anything, but I was going to university actually for humanities. Everyone went for humanities. But I really was like, I want to study acting. Like in
Yeah.
university, I was like taking like theater and film classes. Um, Even though I played sports in high school, I think I wanted to play because all my friends were playing and I was good at them. But acting was always like really what I wanted to do. So who knows? Maybe I would have been a professional volleyball player. But
Maybe in another
yeah,
time.
another
You know what'd be
time.
crazy? You're gonna play a volleyball player in a movie, then it's like,
You
full
know,
circle.
I haven't seen a lot of volleyball movies.
Hmm.
That's a good idea.
I think Disney back in the day used to do all those sports movies, remember?
Yeah, I just sports movies are so feel good.
Oh
We
my
need
gosh.
them. We need
What
them.
was the last one? I think the last one I saw was I mean, I don't know. Do you consider
F1. Oh yeah,
is F1 considered a sport? Yeah, it
think
is.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was probably the last sports movie I saw. And
yeah.
my goodness, yeah, sports movies. It's just like, especially for me, it's like that. For me personally, I'm like, oh, it's an underdog story.
Yep,
And sometimes I see myself as the underdog. It's like trying to get
yep,
himself to the next level. So I completely empathize with the leads and the mains trying to overcome, you know?
yep. I
Yeah.
know underdog stories are the
They're the
best.
best because everybody, I feel like a lot of people in this world feel like they're underdogs.
Yeah,
And they're like, man, I want to overcome. And then when you watch those movies, you're like, yes, I can do it too.
exactly.
And also, too, I've noticed a lot of sports movies have really good playlists.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The montages.
The montages.
The
We love a good
We
montage.
love a good
We need a
montage.
good montage.
We
They're
do.
great.
We do.
Kiana, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're
Coming
welcome.
on, sharing your story, sharing your life a little bit. I really appreciate it. Now, these are 3 questions that I ask to all my guests. These are questions that I personally think about, and I'm going to ask them to you.
Okay.
First question for you is, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be and why?
If I could have any superpower in the world, it would be the ability to heal.
Mm.
To heal.
Heal yourself or heal others?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I initially thought others, but myself too. I obviously the natural progression of life is to live, to be born, to live and to die. So I'm not saying like healing that you live forever because we all want to go to heaven one day, but healing people so that in the life that they have before they pass away from natural, reasons, just being able to live healthy.
Mm.
There's a lot of illness in the world and it's heartbreaking. Children get cancer. That's just heartbreaking. And if I could heal, yeah, I feel like I would be so happy and I would be able to just like travel the world and heal people and just allow them the opportunity to live however many years they're meant to live, but healthily and fully.
Okay, so here's now a second part to this.
Okay.
Because if you're going around healing people and you're healing the blind, you're basically pulling the Jesus out here, okay? Modern day, right? You're healing the blind, you're healing people with cancers, you're curing AIDS, you're making the people that can't walk again. You would be in such high demand.
Mm.
Would you now have people try to pick a lottery to meet with you or to meet if you're like, I don't know, let's say you're in Brazil, you have
Amen.
a certain number of people that could come and meet you because at this point your notoriety would go up. You'd
Yeah.
pretty much become one of the most famous people on the you would
True.
probably be the most famous person on the planet. You the most sought after person on the planet. People would come to you. Are you also paying making them pay for these services? Because that is a very very powerful power and
Yeah.
ability that you could make trillions on.
I wouldn't make them pay.
No.
No, I wouldn't make them pay. And also reminds me actually of like the Bible and Jesus and how he traveled to heal people. It's interesting because in the Bible, Jesus, he healed um a blind man. I think forgive me if I'm getting the stories mixed up, but I think he healed a blind man. He healed something and said, "Go on and don't tell anyone what I've done for you
Yeah, yeah.
here." And like, but of course, he told he told everyone, and Jesus was in very high demand for his healing powers, and um, I think if I were to walk in Jesus's footsteps as a healer, I would man, that was before social media. It was before flights.
Right.
So, it would be tough. I know for sure I wouldn't charge people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna profit off of that. But,
How would you pick?
I know.
Because that's the hard
I'd
part.
wanna heal everyone.
Right.
I didn't think this far out.
But no, you know what? It's okay. You have something to think about for the future. You
Yeah.
know what? Maybe that's an idea for a movie you gotta announce. A
Yeah.
woman that heals.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, my brain's cooking
Yeah.
right now.
Oh,
My brain's
I know.
cooking right now.
Always. I feel like whenever we're together, we're like, "That's a movie."
That's a movie. That's a good power. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2 for you.
Mhm.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to younger Kiana?
I would say, hmm, I would say don't care so much about the outward appearance. And I mean when I say that, like I spent a long time caring a lot about body image specifically. Like
Mm-mm.
I actually had an eating disorder when I was in my early 20s.
Really?
Yeah. I had an eating disorder when I was in my early 20s. Something that I don't talk about, but I love to talk about it now because um I think it's really important to share. Um yeah, I was bulimic for a couple of years and I wasted a not wasted now in hindsight because it, made me who I am today, thank God, but I spent a lot of time caring so much about wanting to shrink myself. And I think it's just such a common thing in our human experience of like maybe I'll speak for women specifically, whether it's shrinking yourself, not taking up space, or, these days, depending on the trend, it could be growing yourself. Either way, I feel like there's so much programming as like your body is not good enough. You could have a specific body and someone else could look at you and say like, "You have such a nice body," but you're looking at someone else and thinking like, "I want to look more like that and I want to look more like that." And like we can waste so much time wanting to change our bodies. And if I could tell my younger self, like little Kiana, just don't give in to that. don't give into it. Don't entertain it. You are perfect. Focus on just being healthy, moving your body, exercising because that's important, but fueling yourself with the things that, will make you have energy to do the things you really want to do and live a long and healthy life. And thank God, I feel like that's where I am now, but those thoughts still come up of like, diet culture and this and that. And nowadays, like with like, Ozempic and everything, like there's a lot of pressure to like be small
Mm.
and don't take up space. And like it's beautiful to take up space. Like, of course be healthy and take care of yourself, but like don't don't hurt yourself trying to shrink. Don't hurt yourself trying to grow. Don't hurt yourself trying to change. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. Embrace how God made you and in all your shapes and sizes and seasons of like maybe you're in a season where you're not exercising as much and you're eating more comforting foods. That's okay. It's so hard, but it's so important. And I would tell my younger self that just, you know, resist those things. Don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to the people who tell you like, if you just lost 10 more pounds or if you just gained 10 more pounds, just don't listen to it. Just be free, be childlike. Just focus on creating and focus on your relationship with God and focus on just being joyful. Yeah, I
I
would
love
tell her
that.
that.
That is such a good answer to your
Mhm.
younger self. I hope anyone out there listening to that takes that and just remembers and reminds themselves that they're beautiful just the way they are.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
so too. And yeah, for me, for you, for all of us, it's like we really have this one life to live and we can get so caught up on the little things. And I don't want to be 85 and looking back and like looking at photos of my younger self and being like, "Damn, I was so beautiful." And like I remember looking at that picture and thinking like, "Oh, I don't like the way I look cuz I felt fat." And you're like, "Girl,
Crazy.
like crazy, we could really waste these years." And I pray that we don't. I
Hmm.
pray that whenever we get those thoughts, we just take them captive and give them to God and like meditate and like let them like clouds like just pass by,
Yeah.
and like invest that time in ourselves to really meditate and pray because the more we scroll, the faster our thoughts become and the easier it is to like run away with them.
Yeah.
So it's countercultural to slow things down and like put your phone away, but we really, really have to if we want to live the beautiful life that God has placed us on earth to live.
Amen, sister. Amen to that. All right. Last and final question for you. What is one goal that you would like to accomplish within the next 6 months?
6 months.
That was
One
crazy.
goal.
But 6 months is
Okay.
gonna come.
One thing that I'm really into right now, I was telling you kind of like off camera before, I'm really into like, I'm like a bookworm. So I want to lock in on a piece of fiction that I want to get the rights to and start adapting. And I'm reading a book right now and I think it might be the one. I'm not going to like say what it is now. It's premature, but I really want to find a story that like speaks to me, like the book that I'm reading right now. And, start putting those pieces together to get the rights, find a writer that I can like partner with to start adapting and like with Zara and I, our production company, Tabia Studios, like really develop our slate. And so 6 months, I think it's realistic to like find a piece of fiction, get the rights, start adapting and having those conversations with, studios and start like putting those pieces together.
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that that book that you were telling me about is the one. I'm hoping for you.
Thank
You seem like
you.
you're into it.
Yeah,
Kiana, thank you again for jumping on. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, shamelessly plug yourself right there. Bang, bang, boom.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. You are amazing at this. I love everything you're doing with this. You're such a good listener. Every time we have conversations, whether it's on or off camera, you're so attentive. I feel like you're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. Shout out to Ryan, also my Fear Street brother. Like, not us being in the same franchise.
All right, kind of cool.
No, when you called me and told me you booked that, I was like, what? That's crazy. You're so good in that movie. You're so good in everything that you do. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited you're doing this podcast. I'm very inspired. And thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll plug myself real quick. My name is Kiana Madeira. My Instagram is at Kiana Madeira. My TikTok is at Kiana Madeira. I'm very unserious on TikTok, so follow me there. Instagram's a little more serious, a little more professional, but there's room for both. Shout out Tabia Studios. Shout out Zara Bentham, my producing partner. We're going to have some exciting things on the go in our producing slate. And shout out Lavelle Adams Gray, my husband. His Instagram is at Lavelle Adams Gray. Shout out my brother real quick. His name is Nikane, but he goes by Dr. Mad. His Instagram is at Who is Dr. Mad. Amazing, amazing rapper. Really up and coming in the EDM scene. We have some exciting things going on with him as well. So yeah, that's it. But
that's how you shamelessly plug all your people.
I'm like, wait, now that you have me here, who else?
That's how you do it, Hey, y'all, if y'all were listening, check those people out. Nikane, Dr. Mad, phenomenal in the EDM scene as well. His music slaps. Y'all, once again, we thank you for joining us for another episode of Growing Through It with your boy, Ryan Rosary. And I want y'all to stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay beautiful ×2. I was trying to say something else with another B word. It just wasn't coming on time. And remember, the only way to grow through it is to go through it.